Should I look at the camera when I introduce myself, or should I look at you? Okay, cool. My name's Alida Wilkinson. Most people know me as Allie. And I am a born and raised New Yorker. I come from a family of artists, and that has really informed, obviously, my trajectory as an artist. I feel really lucky to have grown up surrounded by and exposed to art, not only as a kid who grew up in New York, but as a kid who grew up in New York with an artistic family. So that's how my love of art began. It really literally began when I was a child. I work with ink and water on translucent surfaces, and the surfaces feel a little bit like skin, which I like. They're really conducive to figurative painting. I also really like working with ink and water because with ink you can get a great deal of control in terms of the outlines. You can get really crisp outlines with ink and like a fine brush. But then for the interiors, I mix the ink with water and then kind of let it go where it will. So I have these really crisp exteriors and these kind of organic, chaotic interiors, and I think that is really reflective of how we are as humans. You know, we go around really shiny and buttoned up, but on the inside we're just like this roiling mass of emotion and insecurity and excitement and fear and all of these things. So I think it's a really amazing medium to express what I want to express. I love New York. I grew up here, so I really don't know what it's like to grow up anywhere else. So when people ask me, like, what was it like to grow up in New York? I'm like, I don't know. It just was my experience. But I can say that I grew up with a great deal of independence and a great deal of exposure to a lot of different people and a lot of different experiences, and that has been really important for me. I feel like New York is a place you can really, like, people really come here to be themselves, and my work is really about, all about like authenticity and vulnerability, and New York is a space where people can come and be their authentic selves. So I feel like it's an environment that's conducive to my creation. So many of my works have two layers. So right now you can see both layers. If I pull the top layer away, you can kind of begin to see how they divide. And then sometimes if there's an air current in the room, you'll get this really nice fade in the back, which I also really like. So the works are kind of, again, like living, I think of them as like living beings. They kind of breathe, and I like that. The other thing I do with layers is I often, each layer will express kind of a different way we present ourselves. So, you know, the top layer in this one is very kind of almost demure, despite the fact that she's nude. And then the bottom layer, she's more like relaxed, vulnerable, looking at the viewer rather than away. So just, you know, I use layers because we're so layered, for lack of a better word, and there's so much complexity to how we present ourselves to the world and how we hide ourselves as well. I almost exclusively work with people. I have done abstractions, but they're all pretty based in the figure. I just find people endlessly compelling, and I just haven't really seen any reason to not work with the figure as long as it's stimulating and exciting for me. So she's Nigerian, and she wears waist beads, and you can see them here too. And I asked her if those were important for her to have on while I photographed her, and she said yes. And so I was like, oh my God, like, it's so interesting that when I ask people to get naked, you know, so I can photograph them, they don't get, like, they leave on certain things, and I can relate to that. Like, I always wear this, like, bracelet no matter what. It's, like, really important to me. So it feels like that's almost part of their nudity in a way, like, and part of their identity. And I do want these to feel like they're people and not symbols, and so having those kind of personal touches, I realized was really important. Yeah. I don't know if this is gonna work, but you can kind of get a sense of how the light shines through and how they really are like, they are three-dimensional objects. They're not just, yeah, it's like almost sculptural, the effect when light is introduced. I'm always trying to do the next thing that will honor the work.